Hi, my name is Karen Knight and I'm the Vegan Amateur. Today I'm going to be continuing the series of videos that I wanted to do around recipes that friends and family have given to me or cooked for me. This particular one was given to me by this recipe was given to me by a vegetarian friend, and it's a Turkish recipe. It uses leeks and carrots and all sorts of stuff that we'll get to in a minute. The woman behind the recipe, her name is Özlem Warren, and she is a Turkish chef. Apparently I think she has a cookbook out at the moment as well. It's not particularly geared towards vegetarians or vegans, but I would hope to find a couple of dishes that would suit. So I was just going to go ahead and get started. The name of the dish is pirasa. I'm going to go ahead and start by just letting you know what all the ingredients we'll be dealing with are. So I've got 500 grams of leeks. For me it was about 2 large leeks, so it's about this size. That's a pretty big leek actually. So what I did with them was chop off this bit. This top bit is really no good, so I used about that much of the leek, split it down the middle and chopped it that way, so you have pieces that look sort of like that. Make sure that those are cleaned really well, because that's just the worst thing that could happen when you're eating, is finding a piece of dirt or grit. So we've got leeks, we've got 1 medium carrot sliced, thinly sliced. We have 1 medium onion chopped finely, so it's not diced, but it's not big chunks of onion in there. We've also got, this wasn't a typo, I've read it like 100 times, an actual tablespoon of long grain white rice. Which seems like hardly anything at all, but it turns out just fine and it does what it needs to do. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of it is. Maybe it is to add just a tiny bit of starch to it. It does add a little something, and that is literally all you need. A teaspoon of castor sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and the juice of 1 lemon. And I've got a 1/4 cup of olive oil already heating over here. And I'm gonna actually start with putting the onion and carrot in there and getting those ingredients softened up. So that's my medium onion finely chopped and my medium carrot sliced thinly. Just get sauteed in that 1/4 cup of olive oil until they start to soften up. The recipe says that takes about 5 minutes. So I started with my heat up quite high just to get the oil hot, and I've turned it down because I'm on an electric range, and I've turned it down to about medium high heat because I don't want things to start scorching and burning, and it takes a little while for the heat to go down on this range. This is a really nice, it's another one of those kind of winter warmers. I'm still in London. Spring hasn't fully arrived, so it's still pretty cold outside. I've also been wanting to focus on dishes that, for myself, that have more vegetables in them, not as much meat replacement products. So a lot of times you'll find in sort of non-Western cooking, there are lots of dishes that really just center around vegetables and don't need meat as a part of the dish at all. Or it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing something when you're taking meat out of it. So I have to say there aren't many Turkish dishes that I tried before being recommended this recipe. And it was a pleasant surprise how delicious it was and is. Alright, I am going to now add the leeks and let that soften up. Another nice thing about this particular dish is that it is a one-pot dish, which, as you know, is one of my favorite kinds of dishes. Just beware, you're gonna end up with a pretty leaky slash oniony smell. Gonna let that sit a little bit. When things start to soften up, I'll give you a look at what things are looking like. Okay, I think we're getting there. You can actually hear things calming down a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my heat down again just to medium, really, because we have a simmering stage for a little while. So I want the pan to go ahead and cool down a bit. Okay, so next I'm going to add a cup of hot water. I don't think I mentioned that in the beginning, but yeah, we have a cup of hot water. So in goes the hot water. Gonna add the salt, sugar, our rice, our whole tablespoon of rice. There's not much in here, so I need every grain. And our juice, our lemon juice. So 1 lemon's worth of lemon juice. So I'm just going to get this all sort of stirred up together. There we go. Lovely green and orange looking dish there. Okay, so that's all mixed up now. I'm going to cover this and let it simmer for 20 minutes. You want to resist the temptation that you might have to come back and stir this, because the recipe says that you don't want to disturb the starch in the rice too much as it cooks. So I've got it turned down to a pretty low heat, well, medium heat. That is simmering. I'm going to cover this up, set my timer for, I might set it for 15 minutes just to check on it before it's done and make sure it hasn't burned or anything like that. But that's it. Generally just leave that until it's finished. 15 minutes and I'll be back to check on things. Okay, we are back and it's about 20 minutes later. So I just want to give you a look at what things look like now. So everything is a little bit mellowed out in there. It's obviously not as raw, so not as bright. I'm taking this off the heat now. I'm gonna leave that there. And I'm going to put paper towel over this. And that's going to soak up the excess moisture. I'm going to cover that back up again and let that sit. So basically what's happening is things are kind of gelling together a little bit. Like I said, some of the moisture will come out with having the paper towel on there. You can also use a clean kitchen cloth for that. So we'll let that sit a few more minutes. Okay, things have cooled down quite a bit now, and I've got the final product here. So the recipe suggests serving this with some crusty bread, which I have, and some lemon wedges to squeeze over everything and give it that lift. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a little bit of a squeeze with my lemon wedge. Let me give you a look at what things look like as well. So very humble ingredients. This isn't anything that is inaccessible. Carrot, leek, onion, rice, lemon, bit of olive oil. This is all really stuff that anybody should be able to get a hold of. And give it the taste test. I have tasted it before, so I know exactly what it's gonna be like, but let's just make sure it still kind of lives up to the hype. It does. It's so yummy. I actually haven't had this in a little while. It was in our rotation of meals for a while. You know, you kind of like fall out of love with things if you have them too often. So I think we might have been doing that. But it's so delicious and so yummy and so perfect for this time of year. I think it's something we'd probably have in the summertime as well. The additional lemon gives it just that nice lift, like I said earlier. And you've got some crusty bread to mop up all of the lovely sort of oniony, lemony broth going on in there. Right, so that's it. So that's pirasa, and that is from Özlem Warren's Turkish table. I'll put the link in the description so you know where to find that particular recipe. Also give her a Google and see if you can actually find her cookbook and see if there's any other vegan recipes that might be something that you want to try. Okay, thanks. Have a good one.